you guys, my name is Tyler Cassidy with the Page One Made Up Mama, and today I'm going to be going over a video that I have been wanting to make for so long, and that is, can you get by with non-Seint, formerly known as mascara, brushes using our 3D foundation system? So I feel like this is really important because a lot of people aren't able to spend that extra money on a brush, and they're curious if they can get by with just the colors alone. So I've always made recommendations and never actually done it myself. So today is gonna be the test. I'm gonna be doing one half of my face with the detail brush from Seint, and then I'm gonna be doing one half with a different brush from Tarte that I've had for years, and it's made for powders. In addition to that, I'm gonna be trying out a new product, and that is the brow wax. It just came out last week, and I've tried it once before and I absolutely loved it. So I just wanted to do a quick little tutorial to start this off. So it comes in this tin. You can see it looks clear. It doesn't look like there's anything in it, but it's there. It's just this wax. And then I'm using my line brush and I am just working it in there because it's pretty hard and getting that wax on there. And then I am just fluffing my brows upward. I'm not gonna do any filling, just keeping it simple today, but I wanted to show you guys how this works because I love it so much. And it's so nice having it in my compact. I used to use Anastasia Beverly Hills Clear Brow Gel, and it kind of gave me this shiny look, and I just felt like it didn't look natural. I used it every day, but this I feel like looks much more natural and still holds my brows in place the way I like them. I've never tried this, so we're gonna try it today. And flyaways. Let's see how this works. Hey, I feel like it worked. Well, that's that for the brows. Done. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to be using just my colors, two brushes, one versus the other, and then I also have a sponge. Mine is a Perfector Sponge. And then I have my setting spray. So typically when you get a color match, I recommend the Hack Stack. That is this. It's a little double layered compact. There's a mirror on the top, and then inside you find 4 colors. So typically what I recommend is a color correcting color, a main color, a brightening color, a contour color, and then on the second layer, I recommend a lip and cheek, an illuminator, a bronzer, and then the vanilla dust setting powder. That is what you'll see when you get a color match back from me. That doesn't mean that I expect you to purchase all of these colors, and it doesn't mean you can't add on more. I always love to curate the results with what you're wanting. So if you ever feel like you want less than that, let me know and I can tell you which ones I think are essential and which ones I think that you could get by without. All right, so now that you know what I typically recommend, I'm gonna talk a little bit about the brushes. So the detail brush that I have is made for the 3D foundation system. This is a cream brush. So I have a flat end here, and then more importantly, I have this detailed end here. So I can get into really small areas and be really careful about my placement. And this is my favorite for contour because it really shapes around your cheeks. Now this is a powder brush. This is a Tarte brush that I got in a kit. I think I spent like $50, and it was a kit of like 6 brushes, but a lot of people have brushes similar to this. The difference is this is much more dense. Look how much more tightly packed this brush is as a cream brush than the powder brush. The denseness, is that a word? Denseness? Is what keeps the creams on top of the brush. As with powders, I don't know if you're used to powders and cleaning. I used to be a Bare Essential powders girl, and you would see like deep in the brush, the powder soaking in. That doesn't happen with your creams. They all stay up on the top here and then just spread around your face. So that's gonna be the biggest thing that we are trying to counteract when using a powder brush. So I'm gonna try my hardest to make this dense and like make the bristles tightly packed like this when I'm holding it. But we can compare it and see the difference in the application, because a lot of artists swear that you cannot get by with a powder brush, and I just can't knock it until I try it. So here we go. So the first thing you want to do is, if you want to use a primer, put the primer on now. I typically do not use a primer anymore. If you want to use a primer, now is the time to do it. Just make sure that it's non-silicone based, because if there is silicone in it, the makeup just won't sit right and it'll move around and it won't have that long lasting hold that you're looking for. So I'm not using a primer. Like I said, the first step that I'm gonna do is I am going to color correct with this color. If you don't have a color corrector, you can just skip this step, totally fine. For someone like me, I have a lot of blemishes and my main color is pretty light. And so because of that, I have to have a color correcting color so that these blemishes don't show through my color because my color is so light. First, I'm gonna do it with my detail brush. I'm taking the small end here and I'm just gonna take the tiniest bit of product and place it over any blemishes that I have. And what this is doing is it's just neutralizing the area, lightening it up just a touch so that, like I said, when I put over my main color, this redness isn't gonna pop through and show through my makeup. And there's a lot of times where it will look great at first, but it just doesn't hold. And you'll realize that your makeup looked great when you first put it on and a few hours later, all your redness is showing through. That's because you need a color corrector. So just keep that in mind. If you didn't get one, a color corrector will help with longevity and it will also neutralize these red areas. I think that's everything on that side. Now, all I have is this powder brush, like I said. So on this side, I'm gonna use my finger. That might be frowned upon, but you know what? Here we go. All right, not only am I gonna color correct the blemishes like I just did, but I'm also going to color correct any redness and my under eyes. I have these deep purpley blue under eyes. So I'm gonna take my finger here and then I forgot that on this side, so switch back here. It's gonna get a little tricky. See? And I have some here in this area. The key with this makeup is you want to be light. You want it to be natural looking, not heavy. You want it to last. And all of those things can be affected by putting it on too heavy. So though you're using your finger, just try to be careful. Try not to use too much. Just tap it and tap it on your skin and you'll be shocked by how little you need and how far it gets you. Okay, next step is to take your sponge and don't necessarily like go in and remove everything you just did, but just press over the areas lightly to remove any excess that may be there. So I'm not pressing super hard. And my sponge is damp right now. So it's not soaked, it's not dry. I just put it under my faucet and then I wrung it out. I never know how to say that. Wrung it out until there was literally like nothing left in it and it just felt cold to the touch rather than wet. Now I'm gonna go to my main color. I'm using the color Candlelit, which is right here. I'm just gonna start with my detail hack on this side because I can knock that out here. So because I have blemishes, I am pressing, you'll notice. You don't have to press, you can buff. You can do whatever you'd like. Okay, so again, not using much. Just applying it where I need it. All right, main color is applied. Here comes the tricky part. I'm gonna do the other side now. I am going to use my powder brush. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of squeeze my bristles together like this. I'm so nervous. Got some on the end here. I'm gonna do the same pat. I feel like if you didn't have blemishes, this would be even easier because you could just like buff it around. But because I have blemishes, I really need those colors to sit on top of that brush to get the coverage that I'm looking for without being cakey. This is hard. I didn't think it was gonna be this hard. It's kind of different to be holding your brush like this. I guess you don't have to. Let's see. It's not terrible. I have a feeling this would use more product if you just did it this way, because it would go down into those bristles, but if you'd rather do that than mess around with holding it, that's up to you. Okay, so I still got coverage. This is good. It's working. Sponge time again. Basically, between every layer, you want to pick up your sponge and make sure you're getting any excess, because if you don't do that, you risk having cakiness, you risk having creasing, and you're not guaranteeing that you have the thinnest layer of makeup on your face. Let's move to contour. For me, that is Astoria. I'm gonna use the flat end again in my detail hack. I'm just gonna go in at an angle like this so that my color is only on one side of the brush. And I'm pressing up under that cheekbone and going down towards my eye. Right now I have the side where the contour is on the bottom of my cheekbone, and again pressing upward. You never want to drag down, because that will just elongate your face and draw attention to your cheeks rather than making it look lifted. And then I'm going to contour my forehead. Again, you don't need a whole lot of product. It sounds like I'm working really hard on this. It's just because the contours are a little harder in consistency than our cream highlights. They're all creams than our highlights. But I'm still getting about the same amount as I would a highlight. Following that jaw. And then I'm gonna take the small end of the detail brush and just go down the side of my nose and up here. Okay, and a little on my lips. Why not go all out here? Okay, I feel like you can't really see my forehead contour even though I did that. Always make sure you get up in your hairline. If you want to do your part, you can. Sometimes I forget that and I'm like, ah, it's so white. Okay. Let's move to the other side. Again, I'm pinching and working it in there. Ooh, this is not picking up very well. Here we go. Wow, okay. This was a little more intense than I was expecting. Not in color, but it's a lot different to apply. Like, I felt like I really had to work to get the product on the brush, but then once I put it on my face, it was very pigmented. So I'm gonna try to soften that up now, always blending upward again. Maybe fluff that out a little bit. If you have blemishes in your cheek area, don't do what I'm doing right now, because it will just move all the product around and remove it from the spots where you want it covered. Okay, we'll go with it. And the jaw. I always do this and think, wow, Tyler, everybody loves to see your nostrils. Who knew? I forgot to bring that contour down a little bit more here. All right, contouring is done. Now we're gonna move to blush. So I'm just gonna take a little bit, and this is Saffron. It's kind of got like a film on it. And you're going just above where your contour was. This could get really powerful really fast, and that's not what I'm looking for. And And always make sure your contour and your blush are blended together. A little stronger than I was hoping. I mean, it is a bright red, but I kind of feel like I look like Mrs. Claus on my cheek right now. Oh, it's not bad. Okay, same on the other side, this time with the Tarte. Let's do this. I feel like the light isn't fair. There we go. Now you can see the dimension and see the blush. Okay. What I like to do next is, you know what, while we're here, I'll just do my lips. So this is a matte color. Holy moly! I mean, it's pretty, but wow, it's bold. All right, now brightening. I should not have done that. I'm about to brighten under my eyes with this side. Shouldn't have dipped it into red. It's not bad though. It always will come off if you just kind of rub it around. Some people like to hold a towel and rub it off that way. You can do whatever you want, but okay, let's get to brightening. So I'm going back to my top layer here. This is my brightening highlight. This is the third highlight I recommend. This is really gonna give you pop. It's gonna brighten your eyes and really give you a lot more dimension. A lot of girls like glam. If you want glam, then a brightener I would recommend. If you're more like a natural type look, then I think you could get by without a brightener. But it all depends on your skin. So that's something that if you're trying to decide between like a color corrector or a brightener, just let me know and I'll tell you what I recommend. Today I'm using linen. So I'm just gonna take this small end and I'm gonna tap it here into linen. And I'm just gonna apply it under my eye in this little triangle area. I just realized I never contoured my nose over here. So I'm just gonna do that really quickly with my finger. Some people contour their noses with their finger every day. So don't be intimidated by this. You just take your two pinkies, rub them together, and then go whoop, right down both sides. It's pretty fun actually. Okay. So I like to save brightener for after my blush so that I can clean this up if my blush is a little too bold. But the order that you do these things and the colors you choose to use and how you choose to apply them is totally up to you. There's no right and wrong. This isn't the end all be all for application. So you can see how much, it's kind of hard to see on camera, but that really brightened up half of my face. Can you tell? Okay, and again, well, let me do this side first. Okay, so now, this part's tricky. I think I'm gonna use my finger. If you had a small brush, like maybe even an eyeshadow brush that was clean, which is a huge thing when I forgot to tell you. Always clean your brushes before you do this, because if there's powder on your brush, it's gonna totally mess up the consistency of the makeup. The texture's gonna look off, it's not gonna sit right, and you're not gonna love it. So please, please, please make sure to clean your brush before you use it, no matter what. So if you have a smaller brush, maybe an eyeshadow brush, clean it, and you could use that, because you could use that as a detail brush. Obviously, this is what I'm working with here, so I'm gonna use my finger. So I'm just gonna use a tiny bit and try to tap it. You really want to avoid using a ton of product up here in these creases. So try to keep it kind of low and then work your way up. So first apply it down here and then work your way up so that by the time that you get under your eye, you're using less and there's less there then to be moved around. As I'm doing this, I feel like I need to say, for anyone who has no brushes at home, you can literally apply this entire system with your fingers. It's done. There's tutorials out there on it. It happens, and it's awesome and crazy at the same time. Good crazy, not bad crazy. Little here. I don't think if I was applying this with my finger that I would rub that much. I think it would just tap. Okay, I'm gonna take my pinky, and I like to go down in between those two contour lines with my brightening highlight. And then take the sponge and go over everything you just did to once again pick up any excess. At this point, I like to look and see if there's anything that needs a little extra love as far as coverage with blemishes. So for sure, this honker, we'll call it, not a good name, needs coverage. So I'm just gonna take my finger and I'm using my main color right now, just tapping it over that area. A few over here. If you have a small brush, you can use it. Oh darn, I just used my brightening color instead of my main color. Woo! We'll be okay. If you have any spots in your contour, don't be scared. Just tap those out. It'll all blend together. Now we're gonna do Illuminator. I am using Pearl. Just tap a little bit on the tops of your cheekbones. This just gives a little iridescent sparkle. We have powders or creams for this. So if you are a fan of a popping illuminator, go for the powders. The creams are a little more subtle. They're still beautiful. They'll give you that gorgeous glow and shine, but they're a little more subtle. So the powders are amazing. Get that nose, and then I always like to do my Cupid's bow. A little trick, I'm not gonna do it because I like my lip, but if you want, you can also tap this in the middle of your lip and it kind of gives it like, not an ombre effect, but it gives you a cool shape there. And you can pop it in the inner corners of your eyes. If you have like honey or glow or anything that's darker, you might want to avoid doing the inner corners, but for the most part, your illuminator will really give you a pop there. And then bronzer is next on the list. And then another thing to know is that this makeup can be mixed with literally so many things. Like, the sky is the limit. What you need to know if you are mixing products is that the cream layer should go on first. So don't put down a powder and then put down a cream on top of it, because just like for the same reason that I said make sure to clean your powder brush before you apply your makeup, it could give you a funky texture and just not really look like what you're going for. So just be careful about that. Always creams before powders. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm still gonna use my Vanilla Dust setting powder, but it's gonna be the last thing that I do. And then a little bit of bronzer on the other side. Bella bronzer is queen. I love her. Very pigmented. You can literally like get such a great glow from Bella. And the reason I bronze my neck is because our necks don't get much sun, and you don't want to like have a white face and a super white neck. You want all the attention to go on your face. Next step, if you like a matte finish and you're using a setting spray, first you will set, then you will take your Vanilla Dust and put it all over your face, and that's your setting powder. If you like a dewy look, this will be it, and you don't need any setting powder. So that's another option. If you like a dewy look, but you have blemishes, which is what I am, this is what you do. So first things first, spray your setting spray. Give it a second to dry. Or like 5 minutes. It will dry though, I promise. One time I like drenched my face, like dripping with spray, dried just fine. So do not fret. All right, now, So I've got the Dewy Glow. If I could stop here, I would. But I really want to make sure that my blemishes stay covered the whole day, and I want to avoid as much texture as I can. So something about this step really hides blemishes. You don't have to do it, but I love doing this. So I'm going to take my finger, or you could take the small end of your brush. Obviously, I wouldn't recommend this. If you are using that little eyeshadow brush like I recommended earlier, this is another great time to use it. And it doesn't matter if you go creams to powder. So just because I use cream doesn't mean I can't go into powder now. So you're just gonna take your finger, see what I have there? Just a tiny bit. And I'm gonna press this on any of my blemishes now. I'm not moving anything around. I am just covering them or setting them with this powder. And if you like the matte look and you want to put it all over your face, I'll just do my chin so you can see. You can take your sponge and get it like that and do that too. I do recommend just keeping your powder out of your contour and blush because it will really dull down that color. But if that tickles your fancy, then go for it, okay? Now the last step, and I'm just gonna do it with this brush because why not? A powder brush is fine. You're just dusting off excess. So we'll dust off the excess. Be very light. You're not trying to remove product. You're just removing excess. Just the excess. Okay. Make sure you get all the excess. Okay. Can you guys tell a difference? So we've got this side and this side. So for sure I can tell a difference in like how strong my blush and contour is. I feel like it didn't really stay pigmented much with this brush. Maybe because it was like so, oh dear, see? Now it looks like I did way too much. Oh, you guys, what did I do? Okay, try to pick up excess here. Oh, that's better. Okay, that's better. Regardless, though, I feel like it looks more pigmented on this side. Coverage. So this is a medium coverage brush. We have the buff brush, which is full coverage. We have the blend brush, which is light coverage. So I definitely have the medium coverage here. And I honestly feel like the coverage on this side is a little lighter than I was hoping. I'm just gonna turn all my lights off and bring you to the window and you can see. No, I'll just leave it. Okay, it's kind of hard to do this. But can you see the coverage there? Like even though I covered this up, you can still kind of see it. My blush and contour doesn't look too strong, but then again, not everybody likes them that strong. So over here I had a big one, a couple big ones there, but then the big one here wasn't too bad. I'll just let you decide for yourself. So this is the detail hack side. And then this is the powder brush side. So in my personal opinion, you can absolutely get by with a powder brush if that's what you want to do. If you have any questions, let me know. If you're not sure, maybe you have like an array of brushes and you're not sure which one to go with. I recommend first and foremost, the one that has the most packed bristles. Like the most dense bristles is what you want. But other than that, if you're still unsure, just message me and I'll tell you what I recommend. But I do think it's beneficial to have a cream brush, if not from Seint, from a different line of cream brushes. It just goes on a lot better. It's smoother. You're not using as much product. But if it's not in the budget, it's not in the budget. And we make do with what we can. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any request content in the future, let me know. I'm always listening and hoping to put out more stuff for you guys that you're interested in. Also, for more content, you can find me at One Made Up Mama on Instagram and Facebook, and I am also One Made Up Mama Tyler Cassidy on Pinterest and YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. Bye guys.